Bingo. GHN 7531. The expedition has gone to Ghana, to Lake Bosomtwi. So what the hell are they looking for there? Lake Bosomtwi lies in the meteorite crater in Ghana's Ashanti region. It's 8 kilometers in diameter, about 80 meters deep, and doesn't have an outflow. The ecosystem and the lake are endemic, meaning there are lots of plant and animal varieties that are unique to that location. The priority is investigating the effects on the ecosystem of a massive meteorite strike. What's that on the facts? The expedition has discovered some previously unknown organism. If the story's big enough to pull the professor away with such short notice, perhaps it's big enough to buy me a boat. Let's hit the trail for Ghana and Lake Bosomtwi. The flight to Accra via Amsterdam was pretty fuss-free, but the in-flight food was crappy, as expected. I was able to revive myself with some traditional fufu and a few Gordon Sparks in a chop shop before a bush pilot flew me into an airfield by Lake Bosomtwi. With a bit of luck, I'll be at the base camp in a few hours. Looks like everyone upped and left in the night. Strange. I've got goosebumps all of a sudden, despite the heat. I'm getting something of a horrible feeling here. I'd better get a move on so I can reach the Lake Bosomtwi camp before nightfall. Well, okay, I'll take it with me. But be aware that this is non-alcoholic piss water. Holy shit. If a dead fish and a tramp had a baby and the baby threw up into a dog's mouth, the dog's end product would smell better than this toilet does. Even if I had to, I would not go in there.
Come, gather round, and have the piss taken out of you by a crazy lady with a megaphone.
Ooh, I like it. Now then, any juice left in these at all? Okay, I've caressed the screws. Now what? Looks like a reliable enough contraption. It clamps 2 ropes together. In this situation, unfortunately, the pocket knife is entirely useless. It's screwed tightly to the column. The pocket knife only has this one blade, but it's extremely versatile. I can unscrew screws with it, for example. Sits around all day, probably shows up for food and fondling. Men. Just 2 admittedly unfortunate words. Cat allergy. Airport terminal, Africa style. A little bit too rustic for my taste. Where's the air-conditioned bar and duty-free shop? I'm not that hungry yet. Crates of provisions. Well, I'm not gonna starve to death here, that's for sure. The camp lies northeast from here. That's where we want to be headed. Where's that perverse stink coming from? Oh, right. Pumbaa. They may be cute in cartoon form, but in the real world, those warthog tusks should not be underestimated. Great. He seems to be quite unaffected. I guess that act's only good for scaring off lechers in bars. And here's me thinking I had the act down pat. I suppose compared to most men, this pig is smart enough to tell the real thing from the crazy lady making cat noises in the jungle. Hello, Mr. Kitty. How about an interview? Thank you for the profound discussion. I'll change the batteries. I'll hold the megaphone close to the voice recorder speaker. Perhaps the pig's got a cat allergy as well. Success. Straight and long. Could be useful. Ants. I must have scared him up. Just like in the adventure movies. So, what do we have? Great. The guide rope on the right-hand side of the bridge is broken. That's all I need. I can't get across with it like that. I need to repair the rope first. Way too risky. I need to fix the guide rope first. The bag's hanging too low. I can't reach it. Nudge the bag into the abyss? I might still need it. If I'm going to attach the hook to the branch, I'm going to need something more substantial than my iron will. I'll pull out a thread. In fact, this cap is such a waste of space, I'll throw the rest away. This is where my exceptional capabilities in the tying of seaman's knots come into play. And to what should I now tie the hook? One long hook thing coming right up. Come to mama. Well, what have we got here then? The wrench fits. Now, let's just hope the mast doesn't fall when I remove the connector. How about that? Rope connector gone, mast still standing. A woman needs a little luck sometimes. Way too risky. A prime example of a professional bodge job. Let's see. This can't be all that difficult. That ought to hold. I'm supposed to completely destroy this delicate bond with the wrench? I'd rather not. Unfortunately, I can't do much here with just my bare hands. Other than strangle people with dumb ideas. Whoa, what a mess. Who did this? Hello? Professor Hartman? Strange. No one here. What the hell happened? I ought to take a look around. Cold ashes and stones. Trespassing here is not prohibited, just impossible. I ought to leave the stand where it is. Feels kind of locked. I'm not gonna get the metal locker open with that. I would need either an oversized tin opener, or, to keep it simple, the key. The wrench fits inside the pipe. The laws of leverage are your friends. My favorite occupation, plundering. Mostly fruit and veg. I'll leave that here and take everything else. Aha! It fits. The professor received this letter from his wife on their wedding anniversary. Turns out married, middle-aged people have very little of interest to say to one another. I'll check the first aid kit. According to the sticker, that's Professor Hartman's laptop. Sadly, though, the battery's flat. I have to put the module together before I can connect it to the laptop. I ought to leave the stand where it is. These rocks are getting hot in the sun. The mobile solar charger has to be assembled before it can be used. Bearing in mind I don't like puzzles, I've rather nailed that one, haven't I? We've got no end of solar energy here. But which device should I be powering up with it? I'll connect the solar charger to the laptop. I'll put the laptop and the solar charger here in the sun. The perfect place. Ugh, the laptop's protected by a code. It's stuck pretty fast. I need something to scrape it off. Might leave a scratch, but the ends justify the means. Is that just the manufacturer's logo? It looks like wedding bands or something. Is that just the manufacturer's logo? This is where Hartman saved the pictorial info from the current expedition. Looks like some kind of diary. Sounds promising. Viruses that are responsible for evolutionary leaps? That story would be an absolute scoop. Now, is there any truth to these ghost stories? Shit. Looks like it's quite possible they're close by here. I need to be careful. At least I now know where I can find the professor. Only now all that's missing is any clue to where this Christian mission is. No saved mail. And if I was going to send or receive any, then I'd also need an internet connection. Even the most ambitious scientist has to switch off every now and then. Can't wait to see what kind of music the prof's into. No forecast without the internet. And I don't need a laptop to see how the weather is right now. The map of the camp. A map of the region to the south of the Basumtwi. Aha! That over there to the west has to be the mission that Hartman wrote about in his notes. It doesn't make sense to set off for the mission now. I don't want to be wandering about in the jungle after dark. I'll spend the night here in the camp. Chasing after our scientists will have to wait until tomorrow. I'll set up the motion sensors and build a nice big fire to keep the beasties at bay. Now I ought to make a fire. It'll keep me safe tonight, from the cold and whatever else is out there. Let's get cozy. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. I'll try it with another sensor. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. The perfect place. All that's missing are marshmallows, a guitar, and some decent ghost stories. Mind you, given recent events, I can happily do without the latter. The map of the camp. All that's missing are marshmallows, a guitar. Won't be attracting much interest on the local real estate market. The map of the camp. A map of the region to the south of the Basumtwi. Aha! That over there to the west has to be the mission that Hartman wrote about in his notes. A sleeping bag. Cuddly, warm, but also an accurate description of my ex-boyfriend. I ought to leave the stand where it is. A four-legged stand. Won't be attracting much interest on the local real estate market. Trespassing here is not prohibited. Just impossible.